No?
Belgium.
Belgium.
Belgium, Netherlands.
Okay.
Germany.
The ship was in Belgium.
Oui.
Bruges, d'accord. So Bruges, Le Havre, Bordeaux, and then
Spain.
Spain.
Bilbao.
T'as pas chose. Okay, very good. So, welcome on board, everybody. Can you hear me at the back? Can you hear me well? Well, okay. So, my name is Virginie. No panic, it's Virginia in English. Virginia in English. And then Gérard is our driver. Bonjour, Gérard.
Bonjour, bonjour. Bonjour, bonjour.
All right. So, we should go. There are 4 seats here. They are free. If you want to move in the front.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Merci.
You're welcome. Tu as un endroit où je peux charger la batterie? Non, t'as pas un USB, je veux dire. Non, il est là-bas. Oui, mais au fond, de ton côté. Ah non, 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 mais j'en ai besoin. C'est ça le truc, c'est des fois c'est ici,
Ah,
je
oui.
branche et...
Alors, il y en a un, mais...
C'est pas grave. I'm from France and you are from everywhere, yeah.
Everywhere.
Ah ouais, everywhere. US, UK, Japan. Okay. Japan, this is rare, Japan. Okay. Ah oui. Ah ouais, il y en a un. Merci. Je sais pas si ça va marcher.
Mais, oui, parce que voilà, c'est ce que j'allais voir. Regarde bien si ça marche.
Merci, c'est gentil Gérard.
Regarde bien si ça marche, parce que... Alors, je le mets là. Complètement déchargé.
All right, so we are in the middle of nowhere here. In the middle of nowhere. We are 2 hours away from Bordeaux. 2 hours away from Bordeaux, but we are not going directly to Bordeaux. We are going to stop to a winery, a chateau in French, a winery. Here you can have a look to the right. It's a bunker built by the Germans during the Second War. Are you sure you can hear me at the back? Ah ouais. Le bouton pour le micro, c'est lequel? Celui-là? Juste un tout petit peu. Allô, allô, allô. Ah, ok, c'est bon, c'est bon, c'est bon. Merci. Okay. So we are... Oula, non, non. Ouais. We are 2 hours away from Bordeaux here. And our meeting, we have to be at Chateau La Motte Bergeron at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. So in a little more than an hour, we'll be at Chateau La Motte Bergeron for a wine tasting. And then we leave for Bordeaux, and we should arrive in Bordeaux around 12:15, depending on traffic. 12:15. So there is no guided tour in Bordeaux. As soon as we reach Bordeaux, I will give you some directions. Of course, we will be dropped off by Gérard in the center of Bordeaux, and I will of course direct you around for lunch, and then we leave Bordeaux around 3 p.m. Is everybody okay with the plan?
Yeah.
Yes. Alors Gérard, moi je vois, ok, à la hauteur de Saint-Laurent-du-Médoc, prends la D, ah oui, pour éclairer la D2, je
Je l'ai fait quand
mais du coup on voit pas du tout la Lafitte et tout ça alors.
Ah non.
Non, le panoramique ça sera...
Non.
Ouais.
Non.
Ok.
On ne verra pas du tout la fête et tout ça.
Ouais. See on the map where we are right now? Maybe? No?
We don't have a map.
Yeah, but you know yourself. like where are we located? Where your ship is going on this cruise? I mean, did you see where this area was located in France? Yeah. On the coast, the Atlantic Ocean. And I guess the ship is too big to make it to Bordeaux. But in Bordeaux, in the town, there are ocean ships going in Bordeaux, but I guess smaller than the one here. How many people are you on this ship? A few thousands? Last week I was here, but it was the, I guess the little brother of this one. But there was 3,000 guests inside the ship, but this one is bigger. When we left the bunker, we were occupied. This part of France was occupied during the Second War. The Second War, we were occupied by the Germans, and that's the time of my grandparents. My town is Bordeaux. I was born in Bordeaux. I grew up in Bordeaux, but I left Bordeaux when I was 22 years old. I left for the US, for the East Coast, near Worcester, Mass, which is an hour away from Boston area. I lived there for 13 years, but in and out, 6 months a year. I worked for an educational tour company based in Worcester, Mass, and the other 6 months for the same company, I guided American high school students in Europe. And now I don't really travel anymore. I have twins. They're 9 years old. So I usually joke a little bit. I say I don't travel anymore since the twins have been drinking. That was the twins' impact. Voilà, but yeah, this area was occupied by the Germans. Many chateaux, many wineries were occupied by the Germans during the Second War. They came here in 1940 in Bordeaux. They stayed 4 years in Bordeaux and then they left in 1944. And the end of the war, the end of the Second War is 1945. Well, but the bunker I show you, was part of the Atlantic Wall. Non, il y a quelqu'un. Heard that this Atlantic Wall was built by the Germans from Norway to Spain to protect any landing from the Allies troops along the Atlantic Ocean. There was an Atlantic Wall and thousands of bunkers were built by the Germans at the time. So the one I showed you was one of them. And this part here, where we are right now, this part was really protected and really protected by the Germans. So they had built many bunkers to protect the entrance to Bordeaux. Because your ship is where we are right now, it's the entrance to the estuary. I will show you a map. But Atlantic Ocean, then there is an estuary. So the smaller ships, the smaller boats, they can take this estuary, sail or cruise on the estuary, the Gironde is called. And then the estuary splits in two rivers, the Garonne River in Bordeaux and the Dordogne River. Voilà. But there is only one way in Bordeaux. Sorry. There is only one way in Bordeaux by the river, it's by the estuary. So this area was really protected by the Germans during the Second War. What do we do here? What there are here? There are few seaside resorts. We are on the Atlantic Ocean. To the right is the Atlantic Ocean, to the left is the estuary, the big river. So there are few seaside resorts along the Atlantic Ocean. The closest one is Soulac. So we are 10 minutes away from a very nice seaside resort, Soulac. It's the ocean. The surfers are coming here to surf as well along the Atlantic Ocean. Here to the right is direction for Soulac. I'm sure that some of the guests on your ship are going to Soulac today. So there will be shuttles, many shuttles going back and forth, going to Soulac and coming back to the ship. So it's a nice seaside resort. The thing is that we are in October. Well, it's very nice out. You are very lucky because sometime and a lot of time in October, it's the rainy season. It rains and it rains and it rains. But this year we are very lucky with the weather. It's very, very different from last year. Last year we had a very hot summer. Last year we had 5 heat waves. 5 heat waves. Very hot summer last year. Big fires. Have you heard maybe about our fire in France? Fires in France, it was really bad. This year the summer was really strange. It was raining and then hot, raining and then hot, raining and then hot. But we have a beautiful month of September, October. But this is unusual, so you are very lucky. And very hot. We could have nice weather, but not that hot. And here, so those seaside resorts here, they're very quiet. Soulac is going to be a bit quiet because it's not really summer anymore. People are working. It's Monday, so it's going to be quiet. And those seaside resorts that you find on the Atlantic Ocean, the houses that were built, the villa, the houses that were built are mainly second homes. People, there is not many people living all year long in Soulac or in those seaside resorts that you find here. They don't live here all year long. They have a house in Bordeaux or a house in Paris or a house in London, and then time to time they come to the little towns. So in the off season, those little towns are very quiet. So I don't live in Bordeaux anymore. We left Bordeaux with the family and the twins. We left Bordeaux for a seaside resort, but not here. Here we are in the north of Bordeaux. We are 2 hours north of Bordeaux. I live 1 hour south of Bordeaux by the sea, by the Bay of Arcachon. I will show you on the map. So it's my choice every day to drive. I left this morning at 5:30 a.m. to meet a driver in Bordeaux, and the driver took us, all the guides, he took us to the ship. So we met the driver at 6:30 a.m. to be at the ship at 7:30 or 8:30. 8:30, 2 hours. Voilà, so here you won't see any vines. So do you know a little bit about wine? Do you know wine? Yes. Do you know about Bordeaux wines? Yes. Aha, there are some connoisseurs. So if you know a little bit about wine, you should know why there are no vines here. Too wet. There are no vines here. It's too wet. We are in the wine. We will be in the wine region called Le Médoc. We are in the Médoc. Médoc is called. M-E-D-O-C. Médoc wines. But the Médoc it's a peninsula. It's a peninsula 80 kilometers long. So from your ship to Bordeaux, it's like a peninsula 80 kilometers long between two waters. The ocean to the right, the estuary to the left. Médoc actually comes from the Latin word media aquae. Did you learn Latin at school? No? No Latin? You are lucky. I had private school in Bordeaux. I had to learn Latin for 2 years. 2 years, but I don't remember anything about it. I don't remember anything of it. So, media, middle, aquae, that's easy, aquae, agua, water, in the middle of the waters. This is what this region is about. So too wet. So there are farms, like cattle farms, many cows around here, horses around here, but no vines. It's too wet. The number one thing to know about wine is that the soil where the vines are planted is very important. The soil is what is going to make a good wine, a part of it. Of course, the grape varieties are very important as well. But if you plant a vine on the bad soil, that's not going to give you a good wine. So first of all, you need a very nice soil. And you don't want a wet soil. You want a very poor soil. In Bordeaux, because of the weather we have, because of the rain we have, we are not allowed to irrigate. We are not allowed to give water to the vines. We can't. It's against the rules. We have many rules in Bordeaux about wine, and the number one rule, we cannot give water to our vines, even in the summer. So if you travel to another region, maybe you'll be surprised. If you are from California or Australia or Chile, over there, they do give water to the vines. Here we don't. And we don't because in Bordeaux, we don't want quantity, we want quality. And one of the, we don't want too many juice. We want a limited amount of juice per vine. If you give water to a vine, the vine is going to produce big berries. So if you irrigate a vine, it will produce big berries. We don't want big berries. We want small berries. So if you don't irrigate the vine is going to suffer. We say that the vines suffer. We want them to suffer. And if they suffer, the roots are going to go deep in the soil. They are going to go deep in the soil to look for water, to look for humidity, to look for nutrients. And the vine will produce small berries with a beautiful concentration of aroma and sugar. This is what we want. Concentration of aroma and sugar. So last year we were blessed. 5 heat waves. It was very hot. We cannot irrigate. So the berries were very small with a beautiful concentration of aroma and sugar. So each vintages are different in Bordeaux. Sunny vintages, rainy vintages. The best vintages, of course, are the sunny vintages. 2022, beautiful vintage, but for the wine growers, not enough juice, not enough quantity. I mean, it's a very small production because the berries were very small. That's very good for us. It's very good for the quality of the wine, but the wine growers, they did not produce a lot of wine to make money. Not enough. So maybe this rule is going to change in the future. If because of global warming, maybe this rule of no irrigation will change in the future. Also because it's very dangerous to not give water to a vine if it gets too hot. If you don't give water to a vine and it gets too hot, the vine is just going to die. So I'm sure this rule is going to change a little bit. Maybe there will be a few days when it will be possible. Alors, Bordeaux Vineyard is huge. It's way bigger than Napa in California, for example. It's 300,000 acres of vines. 300,000 of acres. It's huge. If you fly over Bordeaux, it's vines all around Bordeaux, as far as you can see. So it's very pretty. Bordeaux is a red wine region. Red wine region. At 86%, we produce red. But the new generation, we want more and more rosé. Do you like rosé? Rosé wine? You drink rosé in Japan, for example? No? Rosé? The pink, you know? Okay? Right? You do? You like it? You need a good rosé. You need a dry. In Bordeaux, we do dry. We don't produce sweet rosé. We produce very nice dry rosé. It gets warmer and warmer in Bordeaux, so in the summer when it gets warm. In Bordeaux it gets warm from May to September, October, let's say. So from this time we go to the beach. Many people in Bordeaux area, they have a pool. What do you drink when it's hot outside? You don't drink red wine really. By the pool or at the beach, it's either beer or rosé or white wine. So we want more and more rosé, so the wine growers adapted their wines to what we want. So they produce more rosé. So now Bordeaux is the second largest producer of rosé in France. The main region for rosé in France is the Provence, the southeast of France. We are southwest. The main producer of rosé in France is southeast, in the Provence area. Maybe you've been there already. We have dry white wine, which is perfect for oysters. Do you eat oysters? Yes? Where I live on this bay, it's a big bay, beautiful bay, not far from the ocean. It's a big nursery for oysters where I live, in this bay. Every summer there are millions and millions of baby oysters that are born. It's a big nursery for oysters where I live. And at the market, if I go to the market or at the farm, at the oyster farm, I will buy the oysters. It's around 5 to 6 euros for a dozen. For a dozen. 5-6 euros. So it's 5-6 euros. It's
what the size? The size.
Size of an oyster. You have small, but 6 euros. For 6 euros, you have a normal size. Not too big because it's not good when it's too big, and not too small. So it's very inexpensive. So in Bordeaux, for lunch today, you will find some restaurants with oysters. Voilà. So you could have oysters, you could have alors escargot. People are asking me about escargot. Bon, in France, us French people, we less and less we eat escargot. Less and less. I know that you, as a visitor in France, last week I had many people they had escargot for lunch, but when I go to the restaurant, I don't eat escargot. I will have oysters, but not escargot. But you could find some escargot in Bordeaux, of course. Voilà, but the southwest of France is known for its oysters, especially in Bordeaux, oysters. Foie gras, maybe you heard about foie gras. It's a very expensive pâté, duck pâté or goose pâté. That will be the traditional meal for Christmas. For Christmas, we start with oysters, white wine, dry white wine with oysters, and then we have this foie gras. Not every time, it depends. Myself, I love foie gras, but I don't quite agree. I don't quite agree on the way they force feed the animals. So if I am invited to my family for Christmas and we have foie gras, I will eat it. But myself, I don't propose foie gras. There are other things we can eat, but it's very good. It's a very good pâté. Voilà, foie gras, and we have foie gras. We have Sauterne. Do you know Sauterne? Sauterne wines, beautiful sweet white wine. Sweet white wine. It took me some time to like it because I'm not a sweet tooth person. It took me some time to like Sauterne wines. They are sweet white wines from Bordeaux, but they are very refined, very elegant, and they are, of course, they are sweet, but it's an explosion of aroma that you have in the mouth, like apricot, candied fruit, citrus aroma. It's beautiful, beautiful. Sauterne, you could have at lunch, and you could ask for a glass of Sauterne. It's very nice. So we have everything. Huh? We have red, rosé, sweet white wine, dry white wine. It's very nice, Bordeaux. It's very nice to be in this wine region and to have access to affordable, very nice wine for the money. And Bordeaux is known for its very nice wine for the money. The average price of a bottle in Bordeaux is €8. Now, of course, we have very, very expensive wines in Bordeaux. We have some of the most expensive wines in the world. We have Petrus. Petrus, it's a winery. Petrus, it's €5,000 one bottle. €5,000 one bottle. Not far from where we are going, you have Lafite Rothschild, Mouton Rothschild, La Tour, Chateau Margaux. It's around €1,000 for one bottle. But then we have very nice wine for the money, like Chateau La Motte Bergeron, where we are going. I don't know how much the wine costs, but I guess it will be around 20 euros maybe, 20, 25, 30 euros for Chateau La Motte Bergeron, where we are going. First vines, to the left, first vines. I believe now, the picking of the grapes should be over. You missed it, or maybe it's still going on, but very few grapes are left. We started the picking in September. On the 15th of September was the start of the picking. And the picking lasts for 2 to 3 weeks, depending on the size of the vineyard. So some grapes are picked by machines, some grapes are picked by hands. It depends on the price of the wine. Huh? If you had the grapes picked by a machine, the wine will be less expensive than if the grapes are picked by hands. And by hands, it's more expensive. You have to pay the pickers. We don't have enough pickers in Bordeaux. We need so many pickers. For example, Chateau Margaux, maybe you know the Chateau Margaux or Chateau Lafite, Mouton. They are big wineries and they need about 100 pickers every time, just for one vineyard. About 100 pickers. Can you guess how many wineries we have in Bordeaux? 6,000. 6,000 wineries in Bordeaux. It's a big number, huh? a big number, 6,000 wineries. Actually, way less than before. In 1960, there were 44,000 wineries. 44,000 wineries. In 1960, we are down to 6,000 wineries. And actually, the number is going down, less and less wineries, because 6,000 wineries, it's a big number. It's still a big number, less than before, but it's still a big number. And there is too much competition in Bordeaux. And there is too much wine produced in Bordeaux and not enough wine sold. Too much production, not enough wine sold. So if your chateau is well known, like Lafite, Mouton, La Motte, Bergeron, where we are going, if it's a big winery in a very nice wine region, there is no problem for you to sell your wine. But if you are in the Bordeaux appellation, small winery, you barely make it because too much competition. So actually in Bordeaux right now there is a crisis, a wine crisis, and some pickers are getting some money from the government to pull out the vines. So the government is helping the wine growers to pull out the vines and to stop viticulture and to change from another kind of agriculture. Well, I don't know what's going on here. There is a big truck blocking the road. Donc c'est pour Saint-Louis. Saint-Louis. Et après. Mais donc on peut prendre le pont de la Martinique plutôt. Pareil. Oui, voilà. Voilà.
Je passerai par le raccourci par maintenant tout ça en intérieur. Donc ça roule pas trop bien.
which are located in the appellation Pauillac. So I'm not sure if you know what I mean by appellation. An appellation. What's an appellation? Champagne is an appellation. Cognac is an appellation. So it's a delimited area. And if you make a brandy outside, for example, this area of cognac, you cannot call it cognac. If you make a sparkling white wine outside the Champagne region, you cannot call it champagne. Well, so we have in Bordeaux 65 appellations. 65, it's a big number. We have a huge vineyard, 300,000 of acres. So we divided it into 65 little wine regions, but we don't call them wine regions, we call them appellations. We have basic appellation like Bordeaux. Bordeaux is one of the 65 appellations, and we have very expensive wines like Pauillac, Margaux, Pomerol. Pomerol, it's on the right bank of the Garonne River. Here we are along the estuary. I will show you a map very soon and you will understand where we are, where the Médoc is. But we are on the left bank of the estuary. Pomerol, Saint-Emilion, that's on the right bank of the Dordogne River. So very different type of soil. Look to the right, look the image that you have to the right. The Chateau La Tour Carnet. So coming very soon to the right, you see a very nice chateau. It's actually a chateau, a prestigious building. It's one of the oldest that we have in Bordeaux. It was built around the 15th century. There is still a moat, a wet moat, and the chateau kept its drawbridge, like a medieval castle. It's a chateau, it's also a winery. In Bordeaux, we call our wine, we call them Chateau. Chateau something. We are going to Chateau La Morte Bergeron, Chateau Mouton Rothschild, Chateau Lafitte, Chateau Latour, Chateau Margaux. We all name Chateau, but we have 6,000 wineries in Bordeaux. There are no 6,000 chateaux. Chateau was first used by the aristocracy of Bordeaux. This aristocracy, you know that we had the nobility, we had the king, we had the queen before. Then we had the French Revolution. But in the 19th century, this old aristocracy of Bordeaux, they invested in vines, they invested in a winery, and because they were from the nobility, because they were from the aristocracy of Bordeaux, on the winery they built themselves a beautiful chateau, a beautiful place, a beautiful house, a chateau, a prestigious building. But now everybody is using the word chateau. So even if you make the fermentation of the wine in a basic random house, you can call your wine Chateau. So Chateau in Bordeaux means a wine estate, and sometimes there is a prestigious building on it. Where we are going, Chateau La Morte Bergeron, on the winery, there is a beautiful chateau from the 19th century. But this is very special. We don't have 6,000 chateaux in Bordeaux, in the sense of a prestigious building. Where we are right now, the Médoc, is a baby vineyard. It's a vineyard that was planted in the 17th century. Very few vines were planted before the 17th century, because this area was wet, too swampy, too wet. And Dutch engineers came in the 17th century to drain this area of the Médoc, and then the vines were planted. 17th century for us, it's a baby vineyard, because on the right bank, for example, Pomerol, Saint-Emilion, Fronsac, Côte de Bourse, etc. On the other bank, the vines were planted during the Roman period, 2000 years ago. But here, because this area was too wet, vines could not be planted before Dutch engineers came to drain it. And then the vines were planted. To the right, it's a very nice winery, Gruau-la-Rose. The chateau is from the 18th century. And you see the metallic tower to the right, the metallic tower. They start the visit at the top of the tower. So when you visit for wine tasting, when you go to this chateau that we pass to the right, you are invited to go to the top of the tower, and then the guide will tell you, will explain the history of the chateau from the top. This tower, the metallic tower, costed €1 million to the family, just to start the visit of the winery. Here we are in Saint-Julien appellation. So Pauillac is behind us. We are in Saint-Julien, 65 appellations. Saint-Julien, here. So we owe many things to the Dutch, the Dutch who came here in the 17th century. We owe them the drainage of this area. Before there was nothing here in the Médoc, before the 17th century, not much. And the land was worth nothing. But now in the Médoc, if you want to buy a winery in Pauillac, for example, or Margaux, it's about €2 million for 2 acres of land. €2 million for just 2 acres of land. So we are in in some of the most expensive appellations in Bordeaux: Pauillac, Saint-Estèphe, Saint-Julien, Margaux. Ducru-Beaucaillou, the chateau to the left. A very nice chateau with the flags. Ducru and Beaucaillou. If you took French, Beau means beautiful. Caillou means stones. That is the name of the chateau coming to the left. The beautiful stones. That is referring to the soil. You will look at the soil, and sometimes you will see beautiful stones that came from the mountains by the rivers. They were brought here from the mountains by the rivers 400 millions of years ago, those stones in the soil. Béchevel to the left, Chateau Béchevel, beautiful, they built a beautiful cellar, and look at the building itself, the chateau itself. We call it the Versailles of the Médoc. Versailles of the Médoc, Chateau Béchevel. Owned by a Japanese group, the chateau to the left. It's owned by a French wine and spirit group and the Japanese wine and spirit group, Suntory. You know Suntory, the whiskey, Japanese whiskey. They own this chateau to the left that we passed, Chateau Béchevel, with another group that is French. Voilà, for example, you see the trees planted here to the left. I'm pretty sure that those trees were planted to suck the water, too much water. And here to the right, you see no vines, too wet. So you see the cows. And we are not